All right. Appreciate everyone for joining us today. We got Associate Head Coach Terry Smith. As always, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Let's start with Daniel Gallon with 247. Go ahead.
Morning, Terry. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Earlier this week, James mentioned that teams aren't really throwing at Kalen right now. I was just wondering, what has he done this year to, take away his part of the field, and how do you see someone like him handle not getting necessarily a lot of targets or things like that over the course of a game?
Yeah, Kalen's done a great job, preparing every week for our opponents. He's ready for when the action comes to him. What he puts on film is, dominating guys at the line of scrimmage in our press man technique. And these teams are watching and they see, that what the scouting report says and it verifies it. So he's having a great start. Statistically, the numbers aren't there, but that's because he's not getting the opportunity. So, I think he had the one ball thrown in man-to-man. Last week, he got a PBU on that. And that's all you can ask from him. Just do your job and, shut your area down on the field and just keep preparing for each week.
Go to Johnny McGonigal and then Greg Pickle. You're on deck.
Terry, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. With Johnny Dixon opposite Kalen, a lot of talk around him coming out of camp that he had a really good training camp, preseason camp. What have you seen out of Johnny now through 3 games so far this season?
Yeah, we knew we had a elite corner in Johnny Dixon. That's why he rotated with, last year when we had Joey Porter, even before Joey, got injured. He filled in at the end, started those games and had a big game in the Rose Bowl. And, the start of this season, he's just showing you guys what we already knew. He's an elite cover corner. Teams have tried him deep several times and, he's making great plays on the ball. He's putting together some good film for himself. And he's, dependable and trustworthy out there. So, we feel like we got some really good cover guys and guys that can handle our demands that we put on these guys out on the perimeter.
Let's go to Greg Pickle and then Rich. You're on deck.
Coach, good morning. Thanks for doing this.
Yes, good morning.
Coach, 10 years is a long time for anything to change. How has whiteout week recruiting changed over your time at Penn State, and what are you expecting this?
Whiteout recruiting. It's always very, very busy. So, the lounge will be full. We'll have to push guys, not negatively out, but push them out onto the stadium in a rotation. Just so the early guys that come in that already are in the lounge, then they can go out to the stadium a little bit earlier, just to make room. But it's always a good thing. That means there's a lot of elite level talent coming to the game. There's no game on the planet like the whiteout. And it's an experience. And so, our team is playing well. Obviously, Iowa's playing well. The matchup is right. We think the evening and the setting will be right. And, we're ready to go play in front of all these top recruits and in front of our fans and crowd.
Let's go to Rich Garcella and then Audrey. You're on deck.
Good morning, Terry. Thank you for your time. Terry, because Iowa runs so much play action, how important is discipline in the secondary on Saturday?
Yeah, we call it eye discipline. Your eyes got to be where they're supposed to be. If we're in man, you have your man, keep your eyes on your man. So, if you're playing a tight end, he may block down, then release. He may hide. There's some throwbacks, things like that. They pride themselves on run the football, play action, and, try to trick your eyes. So, that's one of our points of emphasis for the week, is just do your job and do your responsibility, get your eyes where they need to be.
Let's go to Audrey Snyder and then Allie. You're on deck.
Hey, Terry, thanks for your time this morning.
Sure.
When you think back to the recruitment of both Kings, Kalen and Kobe, one, does it feel like it was a while ago? And two, what do you remember about both of them at that stage and how you all recruited them?
Yeah, it seems like forever, but it's only been going on. This is their third year here, so recruiting those guys out of Cass Tech. I'm very good friends with the former head coach there, which was their head coach, Coach Wilcher. Kobe and Kalen had two different recruitments. Kalen was a little bit higher profile. Kobe, we knew, was a solid, good player. We're so thankful to have them both here. These guys are elite players for us. They're great kids. They come from a great family, with great parents. And we're just happy to have them here. The recruitment was tough, obviously trying to pull kids out of Detroit. But we've had some success up there, and we tend to get the right ones that fit Penn State, and the ones that come down typically have good careers. So we're just super elated to have both of them here.
Let's go to Ali Barubi and then Wogi. You're on deck.
Hey Terry, how are you?
Very well, thanks.
Talking to Johnny a little bit about how he's navigated in the program, he said you're the coach he feels the closest to, and someone he really looks up to. What is your relationship like with him? Who is he as a person, not just as a football player, because we can see that on the field.
Yeah, Johnny's probably one of our more caring and giving guys. He cares what his teammates think of him. This guy loves football. He's very, very passionate about it. One of our core values is to compete in everything we do. And Johnny does that in everything. He wants to be the very best. He studies the game. He prepares, and then he goes out there and plays hard. He gives maximum effort, and it's important to him. And he's a guy we brought up here from Tampa. He transferred in from South Carolina University or University of South Carolina. But I love having Johnny here. He's a guy that we can sound things off. He's not sensitive, so he can be coached, and he just wants to be good and great. And our relationship has been great, and I'm just thankful that he's here, and I'm thankful he's having a great career for us.
Let's go to Mark Wogenrich and then Tyler. You're on deck.
Terry, I wanted to go back 10 years. You were at Temple 10 years ago. This time, how did the relationship start with James Franklin? Who called who, and what was the interview process like 10 years ago?
So 10 years ago, obviously I was coaching receivers at Temple. The interview process, James called Matt Rule first to ask permission to talk to me. We went through that process. He called me up. They were just getting hired. He had a few guys from his Vanderbilt staff that came up with him, like Coach Pry and those guys. And we met at the Penn Stater. I can remember it very vividly because that very day I had that interview at the Penn Stater was the very day one of my best friends, Curtis Bray, who was coaching at Iowa State, passed. And so I got that phone call on the way back to Temple. So it was kind of like a great day. I knew the interview went well, and then it was kind of a downer day as well because of the loss of my friend. But through the process, James reached out to me. We've gotten to know each other through recruiting when I was at Gateway High School as the head football coach there and athletic director, and just relationships, and he felt like he needed a Pennsylvania guy that was connected and tied to Penn State, and I fit the bill. And when he interviewed me, the staff felt the same way, and here we are 10 years later.
Let's go to Tyler Donahue and then Seth. You're on deck.
Hello, Terry. Thank you for the time today. Wanted to ask you about Daquan Hardy's return and maybe what that does for your defense overall, but specifically defensive backfield. With him getting back last Saturday, what kind of opportunities does that create for your unit? And when he was absent for those 2 games, who did you see maybe step up while he was sidelined?
Yeah, we call him Day Day, and it's a huge return for us. It solidifies our back end. He's been our starting nickel for 4 years now. He continues to play that role for us. And this year we're playing him more on the outside as well. So he's going to play corner. He got his interception last week at corner. We're looking for him to play a bigger role in that area. But he gives us another veteran corner, veteran DB. I mean, this guy's played a ton of football. He's probably played more football than maybe anyone on the team, to be honest. He's played a lot of football. So, we're just happy to get him back. In his absence, Cam Miller stepped up, and played that third corner role, did a great job. He got his first pick last week. So, we're just trying to continue to build depth in the secondary. And, we feel like we got 4 guys right now that play at the corner position that can go into football games at any given time. And then we got 2 young guys that are freshmen we're trying to get their feet wet. And, hopefully by midseason, those guys can step into a bigger role. So, I'm pretty happy with the 6 guys that are, the main core of our corner room. And, Day Day is a huge part to that.
Let's go to Seth Engel, and then John, you're on deck.
Terry, over the past 10 years, what do you think you're most proud of how the program has evolved? And if there have been other opportunities, what keeps you coming back?
Well, I'm most proud that we remain relevant. We remain competitive. We're growing as a program. I mean, when we first got here, we were under sanctions. We were lacking scholarships. We were looking at some dark days as a program, and now we're on a national scene where we got a chance to continue to have success and to continue to keep getting better. I'm just really, really happy. What keeps me coming back, I love Penn State. Penn State has always taken care of my family. My dad's a 68 grad, so from way back 1968, that's how my dad fed our family, through his degree. He's got an accounting degree. He's retired now, but, Penn State's taking care of us. And, every job I've ever gotten has been tied or connected to someone involved or connected or an alumni of Penn State. So, I'm just super proud of this place, and I just want to keep contributing and keep giving back. And, hopefully Penn State will have me back until I decide to retire. I don't really want to go nowhere else, but who knows where tomorrow leads us. There's always opportunities out there. So I just like to live present and current where I'm at. And I'm super happy with Penn State, and I love this place.
We got time for a few more. John Petishnock, and then we'll go to Daniel.
Hey, Terry, I wanted to ask you about something that James touched on last night. Beyond the impact that the whiteout has on the football program, do you get a sense of what this weekend means for the entire athletic department, the entire university, and maybe even the larger and greater Penn State community?
Yeah, so I'll put my former AD hat on. When you look at big picture from a weekend like this, the whiteout is nationally known. And so publicity, millions of viewers will watch this game and lock in and tune in. So it's going to help enrollment. It's going to help every business in the Center County region. It's going to help the university and all the 31 other sports teams. It's going to help in every area of the economic impact of this region. So, this weekend here is kind of that signature weekend for fans. The Sea of White is something to marvel over. It's a beautiful sight. It's beautiful to be on that field. Especially I get out a little earlier than when the team comes out with Coach Franklin. And I just take my headsets off and I take it in every time because, just to hear the crowd erupt like that and the enthusiasm and the pom-poms going, and it's a sea of white, and it's amazing. So, but everyone wins from it, and it's a delight that the football program has that impact on this university. And we're so thankful that Dr. Bendapudi and, Pat Kraft and our administration has the foresight to, just build this up and keep making it better each year.
We got time for two more. Daniel, then Rich. Sorry, Daniel.
You're good. Terry, you alluded to the freshmen that you have in the cornerback room earlier. What do Zion and Elliott bring from a skill set standpoint that might be unique? And what have you seen from them since they've gotten here that has put them in this position to be able to contribute, early in their careers?
So both of them have elite speed. Elliott is arguably our fastest player on the entire roster. I say that arguably because he's run 4.32, and we got a couple guys. Day ran 4.32. Got a couple guys right there, but he ran the fastest GPS time. He's run over 24 mile an hour, which is the fastest in our program history. So he can flat out run. Zion ran low 4.4. but pulled up with a hamstring injury, 5 yards, and still finished with a 4.41. So he can run. And so those guys got elite speed. They got great length. Elliott has great strength and power. Zion has great footwork and technique and fundamentals. We're just super excited about the future of these guys, and to be able to groom under guys like Kalen King and Daquan Hardy and Johnny Dixon. We just want to keep the room going and just have good bodies to learn from. And those guys are taking it in. And, one day they're going to be called to the carpet, and they're going to have to go out there and perform in front of the big stage. And we want to have them ready when that time comes.
Rich, go ahead.
Terry, why do you think you have been so effective coaching cornerbacks at Penn State after obviously being a wide receiver? And you've said this before with us in the past in these settings. How many potential NFL guys do you think you have in your room?
So I think I'm successful. Simply one word, in my opinion, is relationships. I have great relationships with the guys I coach. They trust me, and I trust them. And so when you're going in trying to prepare and, first teach them their techniques and prepare for opponents, they got to trust and believe that you're telling them all the right things. And we have that great relationship, and those guys don't question, basic fundamental teachings. So they go out and play hard, and they know, when they make a mistake, they're not going to get yanked. They're not going to get pulled, or, we grow through our mistakes because no one's perfect. There's always mistakes, especially at the corner room. It's next to the quarterback position. It's arguably the second most difficult position to play on the football field. And so, we just grow through things together. My guys, they trust, and, from the recruiting process is where the relationship starts. And knowing that you don't tell a guy a lie from day one, it goes a long way when you're trying to coach him to be a champion on the field. And so, that's important. What was the last question you asked me?
Shoot. Sorry, Rich. I just muted you. My fault.
Right. I got it. I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. In the past, in these settings, you've mentioned particular guys who are going to play in the NFL. And I was just wondering, how many potential NFL guys do you have in your room right now?
Yeah, so obviously Kalen King is one. He's highly rated. He'll go play in the NFL, one of these years. Johnny Dixon is going to be drafted very high. He's showing he's elite. Daquan Hardy will be a drafted player. in the NFL. And then we have our young guys. Cam Miller's our next guy up. I think he has an opportunity to play in the NFL. I think our 2 freshman kids that we talked about, their skill set may be better than any skill set of guys walking in the door. Now they have to put it out there and they got to prove it, but they've got a great skill set. And then there's other guys that are on roster that haven't played yet. So I won't add them to the list, but my goal and Coach Franklin's goal is, when we bring guys in, we want these guys to be elite players that can play in the NFL. And so that's the goal. So I think, of those guys I listed, they all will play in the NFL. I'd be very, very disappointed if none of them got drafted, but I think it's almost a lock that those guys are going to get drafted and have an opportunity to play. And, and with guys like Joey Porter and Jair Brown and Brisker and those guys doing well from the secondary of Penn State, it helps our guys in the future.
All right. Thank you very much, Terry. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye, Terry.
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks, Terry.